From the award-winning author who brought us the space opera Bluebird in 2022 comes a brand new, captivating fantasy tale, a spicy fantasy tale featuring malevolent, devious vampires and a locked room escape adventure. I'm talking about The Hunter's Gambit by Ciel Pierlot. I love books about vampires, so as soon as I saw they were mentioned in this book, I was already interested. What cemented it for me was the locked room escape aspect, and that's what had me requesting a copy from the publisher, Angry Robot Books, so that I could read it and review it. As soon as I sat down and cracked this one open and read the dedication, I knew that I had made the right choice for myself. I just have to share this with y'all. Dedicated to everyone who read Twilight and thought, why are these vampires so Mormon? For those of you readers out there who are like me, that's probably already enough for you to know this is a book you're going to want to put on your TBR if it's not already there. I'll have a link down in the description box below where you can purchase a copy of the book if you like. I'll also link the author's website so you can read more about her and check out her other works, which so far I think there's only one called Bluebird. It's a space opera about lesbian gunslingers, I believe. All I know is I read this book and loved it so much that I turned around and bought Bluebird. Already have it loaded on my Kindle, so you're going to be hearing a review about that one sometime in the future. For those of you who aren't quite convinced, let me share a little bit more about this book, my thoughts, opinions. But let's start with the book description. Vampires have always fascinated our main character, Kazan Korvig. When Kazan is attacked and then captured by a clan of vampires, that fascination turns into ferocity. She's then taken to their stronghold called the Citadel, and they tell Kazan that they have made her their vampire queen. And for the next 3 days, there's going to be feasting and all types of revelry where she is going to be doted upon until such time her 3-day reign ends, where she will then become the main course. Kazan is desperate to escape, but she has no allies, no knowledge of the area that she's in. And just like anyone would, she starts to feel everything just closing in on her. But there comes that pivotal moment, that realization that Kazan reaches, that while she is in fact trapped inside this castle with these bloodthirsty bastards, they are also trapped in there with her. And these vampires have absolutely no clue what this girl is capable of, but they are about to find out. Fair warning, this is a book that when you start it, you're not going to want to put it down. Just go ahead and plan accordingly when you start it to just make sure you have a couple of hours to read to your heart's content. Me, I made the mistake of, I had a little bit of time and I thought, you know what, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to read chapter 1, just get a feel for the author's writing style, see if they're able to capture me in the first chapter, because I'm a first chapter kind of girl. If you don't capture me in the first chapter, I'll give you a few more, and if you don't manage it, then I DNF. So I was just going to read the first chapter, a little taste test, if you will. Suddenly, I look up, 6 chapters have gone by, and even then, I did not want to put this one down. If you are a character-driven reader like myself, then I believe you're really going to enjoy this author. She was so good at writing the character of Kazan Korvig. I love this character so much. I love that her anger was not seen as a weakness, but as a point of strength. She constantly drew upon the well of her anger in order to keep a clear head and attempt to escape, just constantly looking for cracks that she could exploit to attempt to either get out of the castle or even just escape the current situation that she was in. Because over this 3-day event, you learn that while it is this big party, it's also a ritual of blood magic, which stems from an event that happened in the past of these vampires. I found this to make this particular vampire story unique and stand out from countless others that I've read. I love reading vampire books. So I've read a ton over the years, and the subtleties of this one is what makes it stand out, and it's going to make it memorable to me. So in the future, if somebody says, hey, what's a good vampire book? This one's going to come to the forefront. I love the banter. I love the slow build of tension, suspense, just wondering what's going on. How is it going to end? Most especially what I related to with Kazan was the guilty pleasure in the fact that while she claimed to hate vampires, made weapons specially designed to kill them, she was also fascinated by them. And when she had the opportunity to indulge in questioning them and learning more about them, she took it. Obviously, the majority of the other characters we come in contact with are all vampires, and these vampires lined up with my idea of a vampire. I've always thought them to be creatures of beauty, of grace, of indulging to excess in everything. Just whatever their hearts desire, they would just whole ham in on that. And I love that Ciel Pierlot dived into that and just explored what that could look like in this world. Something else that the Hunter's Gambit did for me was I couldn't find myself differentiating between the setting, the atmosphere, and the author's writing style. All three of those just really have to be talked about in conjunction with one another. Almost the entirety of this story takes place in the Citadel. How the author keeps this from getting boring with just Kazan running around in circles trying to find a way out of the castle is the different things that she discovers, different rooms, different items, and a few other interesting things that I won't get into. But I do have a great example that I want to read to y'all just to give you an idea of the author's writing style and how freaking good this author is at writing moments. And what you're about to hear here, it's not the descriptors that the author uses, it's just the crystalline quality that makes the reader hold their breath and can see and just feel the emotion of the scene. In unison, they all turn their heads to the sky. A thin hairline fracture has appeared in the glass-domed ceiling. As they watch, it grows, spiderwebbing around from the center and extending its reach to the very edges. A small handful of glass dust falls, like glittering snow brushed off eaves. Something creaks as the glass begins to shift. Her eyes latch onto a single raindrop, a survivor of the deluge outside. It runs through the cracks of the ceiling, weaving its way through the glass, and slowly lets go, falling down into the banquet hall, landing on the edge of a tablecloth. The entire glass ceiling shatters. Y'all, I could hear the cracks forming in that glass dome. I could see, like I was watching in slow motion, that single raindrop falling. I just absolutely love this author's writing style. And like I said, nothing crazy, no crazy words. It's not purple prose. It's just really well written. I read those 2 paragraphs over and over, just holding my breath every time, visualizing that scene occurring. I love when an author has a writing style that's accessible, easy to read and follow, but also delivers such an impact at just the right moment. Seduction and sex are things that I expect to read about when I pick up a book about vampires, and The Hunter's Gambit was no exception to that. So where did this book fall on my spicy scale? I'm giving it a level 2. And a level 2 for me means there were 1 to 2 descriptive, intimate scenes with little to no dirty talk. I was expecting a little bit more in these areas. Come on now, you're gonna throw shade at the Twilight vampires and then just give us a couple of scenes. So that's why I ranked it as a level 2 on the spicy rating. I had a really great time reading this book. I could easily see this being turned into a duology or trilogy. I won't go into my reasons why, because it would be spoilers for those of you that haven't read this one yet. I am really kicking myself for not taking the opportunity to read the arc for Bluebird when I had that opportunity back in 2022. That's okay. I have purchased that book, so I'll be reading that one soon and reviewing it here on the channel. Y'all, that is going to do it for me today, talking about The Hunter's Gambit by Ciel Pierlot. This book is available for purchase right now, so you can get a copy if I've managed to talk you into putting it onto your TBR. Huge thank you to Angry Robot Books for granting my request to get a copy of this one early so I could read it, review it, have this ready for y'all to check out today. So if you decide you want to get in on the hype and get a copy, you are able to do so. Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one.